I bought my GR Corolla a year and a half ago, and a week and a half ago, I bought my Celica GT-Four. So today I want to compare the two cars. Ketchup, mayo, and mustard. These two cars are a lot more similar than you would think. In my opinion, they're essentially the same car, just different generations. I've been daily driving my GR Corolla for the past year and a half now, and just recently I picked up my new to me Celica GT-Four WRC edition. I've had the 8.6 for 7 years now, but today's video is about these two cars, and I've had both cars for enough time now to tell you that they are both a lot of fun. I've been daily driving this car, and I have also taken it on some dirt roads and had my fair share of drifting and track days and just overall daily driving with it, and I can tell you right now, this car is so worth the money and it's definitely a lot of fun. But now we look at the GT-Four and I have only the same feeling about this car that I do this one. They're both turbo, all-wheel drive, manual homologation rally cars. Now, what does homologation rally mean? Well, in order to compete in the WRC, an auto manufacturer has to make a road-going version of that WRC rally car in order to compete. The Celica GT-Four competed in WRC in the 90s, and in modern time, the GR Yaris competes in WRC. Now, I know what you're thinking. The GR Corolla isn't a homologated car, so why would I call it that? Well, I think it shares a lot of similarities with the GR Yaris, so I think it's safe to say this is a street legal rally car, and so is this one. Call me out if you think I'm over exaggerating it, but these things are so unique in my opinion, and that's why I really want to compare the two. Can you tell that I have a certain taste in cars? I really like slow cars, but with exceptional handling. From far away, the GR Corolla might just look like a regular Toyota Corolla, but then you get closer and you notice it's got a vented hood, a wide body. Look how wide this car is. It's also got a forged carbon roof. Show me another car of this level of car that has a forged carbon roof. Tell me that's not one of the coolest things. It also has a spoiler. Look at that wide body again. That just looks like a WRC car to me. I think it's so good looking. You've got vents on the fenders. You've got massive brake calipers on this car. My GR Corolla is mostly stock. I've done OZ GR wheels and I've installed an aftermarket exhaust on the car. Take a listen. I know it's no supercharged V8, but the 3-cylinder in this car is one of the most unique sounding street cars I have ever heard. I've also installed a pitch mount onto the car just to help with the shifter feel, because that's one of the complaints that a lot of GR owners have. I personally have no complaints with this car, and in the year and a half that I've owned it, it's given me zero issues. On the GT-Four, I personally have not done anything to the car yet. This is exactly how I received it off of the boat from Japan, but the mods that it has is actually the same type of mods that I probably would have wanted to do to the car if I was going for a street approach on it. It has Volk Racing CE28 wheels in this nice bronze color. A lot of people have been recently telling me that the wheels look dirty. You know what? I don't know if I take it as a compliment or what, but I think the bronze on the white, it works. And then also this car has a Fujitsubo exhaust on it, but it honestly sounds kind of stock. Another difference between the two is my GT-Four is right-hand drive, whereas my GR4 is left-hand drive. On the side skirt, the Corolla says GR4, and that's pretty cool to me because when you compare the two cars, this is a GR4 while this is a GT-Four, and I would honestly look at these cars as the same car, just of different generation. Both the GR4 and the GT-Four were built with the same intention in mind, and that's to be a good rally car. Now, ultimately, I understand at the end of the day, they are just street cars. They're not full-on race cars, but a homologated rally car is one of the coolest things in my opinion. Which car do you think looks better? It's almost hard to believe that this car is 31 years old. I love the spoiler that they put on the GT-Four, and since mine's a WRC edition, it gets these black risers, which just looks so sick. So +1 point to the Celica. GR Corolla, you're a hatchback. If you put a big spoiler on there, it might look a little weird, but that's enough yapping. Let's go take these two cars for a drive because they are a lot of fun and I want to share that experience with you. What's really interesting to me is I already feel more at home in this car than I do my GR Corolla. I wonder why that is. And I think that's probably because it's an older car. There's just not as much to it. It's just a car, it's got wheels, a steering wheel, and it drives. The Corolla's got a screen and all this stuff to it. It's just too much. Both cars are super special to me. I personally love rally cars, and obviously I can't daily drive a full-on racing rally car that competes in WRC, but I can get a car like a GR Corolla, a Celica GT-Four that gives me a very similar experience and has the characteristics of a rally car, but I can still drive it on the street super comfortably. And the biggest comparison to me is just how much more comfortable the GT-Four is than the GR Corolla. I really thought that the newer car would feel better, but for whatever reason, this car is just more comfortable to me. I mean, the seats in the GR Corolla bolster you a little bit more than these do. These don't really have much bolstering to them. They could definitely use a little bit more, but on the flip side, that makes them more comfortable. Plus, I think just sitting in a cloth seat is more comfortable than sitting in a leather seat. This thing, it is so much fun, and I absolutely love the 3-cylinder that they put into this car. What I love about these two cars is just how unique they are. You really don't see a lot of cars like them. The GR Corolla has a 3-cylinder turbo in it that makes 300 horsepower. That's 100 horsepower per cylinder. That's insane to me. And a lot of people, when the car first came out, were like, oh, you can't have 100 horsepower per cylinder and that thing's still reliable. Guys, it's a Toyota. Both of these cars are just so planted in turns. The GR Corolla has about 50 horsepower more than the GT-Four, but when you drive them, it's actually not that much different. You know, obviously the GR Corolla feels a little bit faster, but I think both cars have adequate horsepower. And if you just want to have fun in some dirt, 250 horsepower and 300 horsepower is absolutely plenty. I've had no issues with the car in the year and a half that I've owned it, and I've really put this car to its paces. We've rallied it, we've drifted it. Yes, I'm drifting an all-wheel drive car. You might want to classify it more as power sliding, but the rear end is able to kick out in this car. And that also goes to show just how much technology this car has, because it actually has a torque bias all-wheel drive system. So right here in the center console, I have a knob that says front to back, and if I adjust it, I can adjust the torque bias whether it goes to the front or the rear. The torque bias has 3 options. So it has a 60-40 split, which is 60 to the front. It also has 50-50, which is also known as track mode, and then it has a 30-70 split where 70% of the torque bias goes to the rear. The GT-Four to me just feels a lot more planted, and maybe that's just because it's a little bit lower to the ground, it's an older car, you feel more direct to it. But this thing just has less body roll. Taking it through a turn, it's more prone to understeer, while the GR Corolla is more playful. It definitely has a little bit more oversteer to it. It's just an interesting experience driving them back to back. I love how this car just doesn't have the same rev hang that the GR Corolla does. That thing is so bad, man. Like, you get off the throttle, put the clutch in, and you're just sitting there looking at your RPMs waiting for them to drop. This car, they just drop when they need to be there. I mean, you literally put the clutch in, and by the time you already have the clutch in, you're ready to go into the next gear. The GR Corolla, I feel like I'm sitting there waiting, and you know, I guess I could get that out with a tune, but it's just cool that this car doesn't even have that. There's a lot of technology in this car that really explains why it costs twice as much as a base Corolla. I mean, you're dealing with essentially a $25,000 car versus a $50,000 car after you include tax and all that. So to me, I love the car and I think it's worth the money, but from the outside perspective, you might see it and be like, okay, why is a Toyota Corolla costing $50,000? That's absolutely insane. But when you look at it, you have a very unique 3-cylinder turbo motor. You have a torque adjustable all-wheel drive system. It has a freaking forged carbon roof. I mean, what cars do you see having a forged carbon roof, let alone a Corolla? It also has 3 exhaust tips, 1 in the center and then 1 on each side. It's really just a quirky car. It has a lot of things that are unique about it. You don't see a lot of these things on other cars, and I think that's actually why I like it. It's rare, it's unique, it's really just a special car, and you have to absolutely drive this car to understand what makes it so special. Especially when you take it off-road, that's where I fell in love with the car. What's really cool to me about the two cars and where they really resemble each other is their character. I love these cars just for how unique they are. I feel like you don't really get cars like this anymore, even brand new. Like, you want a car that has character to it. And the GR Corolla and the Celica GT-Four, in my opinion, have a lot of it. These cars are not like a lot of cars on the market. How often do we see cars that compete in WRC get put up for sale to the mass market? You don't see that often. These things feel amazing on both the street and the dirt. When I take this thing in the mountains, I mean, when I have my Cup 2s on the car, it can quite literally make you sick with how grippy it is. The all-wheel drive system in these cars is no joke. It really feels planted to the ground, and what's cool is I can still drift it at the end of the day. If I really throw it into a hard corner with some weight transfer and flick it in, it'll kick out the rear, and it makes for a really fun experience. I actually think I prefer drifting this car than my 8.6, which is a rear-wheel drive car. That thing, I mean, it's just more slow motion drifting. When you're sliding this thing, you're literally driving sideways, you know, like going left and right, and you look that way and the road's going straight, but your car's facing that way, and it's a pretty surreal experience. I installed the OTL valve system on the car, so here I'm gonna do a minor pull with it closed. And now I'm gonna open it up and you'll hear the difference. I think I actually prefer how it sounds closed. It's a little bit more refined, but when it's open, it just sounds like a straight up rally car. And I love how it pops when you bang rev limiter, because it's a Toyota. I can do that. It's just gonna last. It's gonna work. It's gonna be a good car. If these words don't last too long and one day my motor blows up, well, I had fun with it at least. But in the meantime, it's been treating me really well. How can you not love that? After hearing my thoughts, which car would you take if you could only pick one? I would have to say the Celica GT-Four. It's more comfortable. It's also more fun to drive. You really can't go wrong with either car, but if I had to pick one, it would be the Celica. I had a lot of fun in today's video, and if you enjoyed it, please do let me know in the comments section what you think of these two cars. We have a whole lot of more fun videos on these cars coming in the future, so please do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.